So let's talk about this first round matchup between the Golden State Warriors versus the Houston Rockets. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a classic series, in my opinion. And let's just talk about the season series. Now, the Warriors won the matchups 3-2. When Jimmy Butler came to Golden State, they split the series 1-1. Now, they played 5 times because of the play-in game where Houston and Golden State just mucked it up. It was nasty basketball. It reminded me of the 90s where both teams are having trouble scoring the basketball. Houston pulled it out, but it was just a defensive slugfest. Then you fast forward to the last game they played against each other in Golden State, where Houston held Steph Curry to 3 points. They made it really tough on him. Now, I understand that Steph Curry did generate offense for his teammates, but Houston made it so difficult for Steph Curry. And they're going to need that same defensive effort if they're going to have a shot to win this series. Golden State is favored to win because they've got the experience. Steph Curry, Draymond Green has made deep playoff runs. Obviously, you have an experienced coach in Steve Kerr. So those factors are going to play a major role in this series. How can Houston overcome that? The athleticism, the rebounding. They're number 1 in rebounding. They're number 1 in offensive rebounds, and they're number 1 in field goal attempts. Why is that so important? Because the more possessions you're going to generate, the better your chances are at winning playoff games, because possessions are so important. So if Houston can create a bigger advantage, because the Warriors only lost the rebounding total by an average of -10 a game, if Houston can stretch that out to a -15 or a -20. Suddenly, the Warriors are going to have a hard time, and Houston is going to just have more possessions and get more shots up, which means less possessions for the Warriors. And if Houston can create a lot of turnovers in this series, and if Houston can also generate turnovers against Golden State, where we've seen Steph Curry against the Clippers, I think he had like 8 or 9 turnovers. If they can make it difficult for him, where he's making passes, they're getting steals, they're getting deflections, and they're able to get out in transition, that's going to help Houston win this series as well. Now, what can Golden State do to combat the athleticism, the rebounding? First off, whenever Steven Adams is on the basketball court, Kevon Looney needs to be there, because he is going to be a hard guy to deal with. He takes up so much space. He averages 7 offensive rebounds a game. If Houston decides to play double big and they put out that lineup, you got to consider, maybe I keep Steph Curry in the game so you can beat them with your speed. Because once Steph comes off the court and Houston's running that lineup and they're comfortable with it, knowing they might take a step back offensively, and they go out there and they're crashing the glass, they're creating possessions, then Golden State's got to figure out how to combat that. Now, guys like Pods and Moody have to shoot the ball well, because there are going to be times where Houston's going to switch everything. And Draymond, Steph, and Jimmy Butler might have some trouble at times. And if Steph's having a hard time getting a shot off, if he's not shooting well from 3, and they're able to move the ball to the weak side and get Pods open or Moody open, they got to knock down their shots. It's very important they shoot well from 3 and play really well during the series, because they got to pick up their weight and not just rely only on Steph Curry. Another factor to keep in mind for the Warriors is Jimmy Butler has to continue playing like playoff Jimmy. He has to be Batman at times when Steph Curry doesn't have it some nights, because I guarantee you the Rockets are going to make it really hard on him. And he's going to have a tough time at certain moments of the game. And I think playoff Jimmy needs to show up and be Batman for stretches. He doesn't always have to do that, because he understands that Steph Curry is the best player on this team, but he's got to carry some of that weight so Steph can, save his energy, have a stretch in the fourth quarter where he makes a couple of threes to pull away, and what's going to be a really tight series. Again, for Houston, when Sengun and Steven Adams are on the court at the same time, the Houston Rockets grab 47% of their own rebounds. On top of that, they both have a net rating on the floor of plus 33. Now, I understand they've only played 150 minutes together, but if I'm the Houston Rockets, I am trotting out a double big lineup as soon as Steph Curry steps off the court. Because what's going to happen is the Rockets, they still rank 22nd in half-court offense. They're a bottom 10 team in three-point percentage and three-point shooting. So what does that mean? They're going to miss a lot of shots. And remember, the Warriors' defensive rating was at 100 this year in the last 4 games against Houston. So if it's a situation where Houston's struggling to score, but they're keeping up defensively and they want to shift momentum and Steph comes off the court, you need that double big lineup to get you multiple possessions, control the clock, and use your athleticism to your advantage, like Amen Thompson, cutting to the basket, getting offensive rebounds, getting putback dunks, getting putback layups, drawing free throws, getting their front court in foul trouble. There's a lot of things that the double big lineup that would help Houston and create havoc on the front court of Golden State, because they're the bigger team. They have more athletes. It just really comes down to strategy when Steph Curry's off the court. Again, another factor we're not talking about. I understand Houston has never been here before with some of their players, but they still have Van Fleet, who won an NBA championship with the Toronto Raptors. He played a big role in that finals run. We got to talk about Steven Adams. He's made deep playoff runs with the Oklahoma City Thunder. We can't forget about Dylan Brooks, where he had a playoff run with Memphis, and he's been in battles with Golden State in the past. So, and again, I don't want to forget about Jeff Green. He also won a championship with the Denver Nuggets. So it's not act like Houston has no playoff experience. They got a balance of vets and young guys. Also, Ime Udoka led the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals in 2022. Now, if you want to say Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown had made 2 conference finals before that, that's fine. I understand. But they had really gotten the mantle as leaders after Kemba Walker left. So this was really the first year where they had to carry a heavier load and be better leaders. I know they had Horford, they had Marcus Smart, but the Celtics offense during that finals run was so inconsistent. I remember when they played the Miami Heat, I think they were up like 12 points at halftime in game 1. The Heat mucked it up, made their run. And in game 2, Boston bounced back. They went back to Boston. They got blown off the court. They made a valiant comeback, but it was too little too late. They went back to Miami. They won, came back home. They lost. It was a back and forth series. When they played Milwaukee in the second round, they went 7 games, and they were inconsistent at times on offense. So what I'm saying is Ime Udoka's offense, when it came to Boston, was not consistent, and they still made the NBA Finals. Because there could be times where Jalen Green doesn't have it at times, where he struggles, but he bounces back in the next game. Ime Udoka is really good at getting the best out of his players. So I do believe in the coaching of Ime Udoka. Another key thing is Sengun has to still win that matchup against Draymond Green. And he had a lot of success in the last game they met up. Jalen Green also has to be really good from 3 and in the mid-range game in his pull-ups. If those things happen, Houston is going to win. And it's going to be a tough series. It's going to be a battle. There's going to be times where Houston's going to muck it up, make it difficult on Golden State. There's going to be times where Steph Curry is going to have those moments where he's knocking down his 3-point shots. Jimmy Butler is going to take over at times. And the Warriors are going to look really good. And their defense is going to really make it tough for Houston. So I'm very intrigued by this matchup because you have a class of different styles. And if I had to make my pick, well, I'm going to make my pick. I got the Rockets in 6 games because I'm going to take Ime Udoka over Steve Kerr. I have questions about Steve Kerr. Why is he not playing Kuminga? I understand he's young, but they're going to need him at some point just for some athleticism. Also, do you play Quentin Post? I would play him and give him some playing time. My issue with Steve Kerr is in the past, he doesn't always trust his young guys. So is he going to lean too heavily on his vets and not, use his rotation and give guys like Post and Kuminga some minutes where they need some young guys out there to match or at least compete with the athleticism of Houston? On top of that, can they contain the backboard? Because if the gap is like minus 15, minus 20, Houston's going to win this series. If they're able to make Steph Curry so uncomfortable and then Jimmy Butler can't get it going, Houston is going to win this series. So I just think Houston is going to play the underdog role really well. I trust Ime Udoka. I just think he's had a fantastic season. He has a great shot at winning Coach of the Year. Even if he doesn't, the way he's gotten Houston from not making the playoffs, I know they made a push at the end of the season last year to the 2nd seed in the Western Conference. And they had a moment in the regular season after they beat the Celtics in January where they went through a slump. I know Amen Thompson missed some games, but they turned it around and they're playing really good basketball. I'm going to take the Houston Rockets. I know it's probably not the most popular pick, but I'm going to believe that Houston's defense and their ability to rebound the basketball and having vets on this team, like a Steven Adams, like a Jeff Green, like a Van Fleet, are going to help the young guys like Amen Thompson, Sengun, and Jalen Green. And those guys are going to be really good. I think Amen Thompson is going to have a fantastic defensive series. I think he'll have key rebounds. He'll look very athletic out there. And Houston will pull it out. Will it be easy? No, it's not. I think there's going to be a lot of close games. And I just think Houston defensively is going to win some of them. And Golden State just won't have enough. Now, could I be wrong? Of course, because Golden State has the experience. But I'm going to roll the dice for Houston. I really believe in this team, and I'm not sleeping on them. They've been really good this year. So we shall see what happens. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what you think about The Warriors and Rockets, who do you have winning this series and why? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.